Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Amisid and today we are going to do a video comparing Lightning Strike Berserker to Lightning Strike Raider. Now, having played both, I feel like it's the time to make this video to compare these builds. Which is better? Which do I like more? Which is the better play style? So let's go over all that today. Now, we're at the end of week 2, so a lot of people here are probably maybe on their second character, maybe on their third character. But it's a good inflection point of potentially switching builds. If you haven't switched builds, maybe this is the time you want to. So maybe I can aid in that decision. Now, let's walk through the fundamental differences here just of the builds, so that way we're leveling the playing field. Now, Lightning Strike Raider, my Lightning Strike Raider, was 96 at the end of last league. My Berserker so far is only 90, but I've only been playing him for about a day and a half or so, really only a full day. It's relatively new. The damage on my Raider is higher just because my gear is better, but my Berserker damage, as you'll see in the POB, is still very, very good. And that's not really what we're comparing here. We're trying to compare play style, clear speed, single target, things like that, scalability potential. So that's where we're going to go. Now, just a fundamental difference here to understand, right, is the Lightning Strike Raider, my Lightning Strike Raider at least, was frenzy stacking. So you're really scaling a lot of your damage, your movement speed, your attack speed, all that stuff off of frenzy charges. Now, Berserker is not. The Berserker is getting a lot of their sort of clear, their movement, their attack speed, all that good stuff from Berserk, the buff. Now, the Berserk is giving you movement speed. That's when I get really huge and I'm jolting all around the map, and it just makes you basically into a god for the duration of the buff. Now, that's kind of where one of the big differences between Raider and Berserker gets into starts to appear, is that Berserker is significantly more button heavy than Raider. Now, Raider is very, very low. You basically are just dashing or whirling blades and in right clicking or whatever it is, using your lightning strike and leaving. There's not too much else to it, and you're kind of maintaining your frenzy charges. If you have Farules, you don't even need to really worry about that because you're always stacking them, but then you have to deal with that incredibly annoying sound. So up to you. But I will say that is sort of the fundamental difference here, is Berserker is getting their buffs internally, and whereas the Lightning Strike Raider kind of relies a little bit on those frenzy charges. Now, which do I like more for mapping? Now, I will say this really depends. Are you okay hitting these buttons? Because if you look at my action bar, all of these are buttons that must be hit. You have Berserk, you have Whirling Blades for movement, your Withering Step, you've got your General's Cry, your Lightning Strike, your totems. There's a lot of buttons. So I literally find myself going like this. Like I'm not trying to subtly give you guys the finger. This is literally what I'm doing. If one's on my Q, one's on my E, I'm just like pianoing back and forth. Now, maybe not the most efficient, but it is, it's the easiest, because I really don't want to deal with looking at cooldowns. It's such a pain. I don't want to try and maximize anything. I'm just going to go like this and not pay attention, and then just hope that my uptime is good, because that's really, I just don't want to be bothered with it. So button heaviness, Berserker is way, way heavier in buttons. But in terms of actual damage and movement in the map, I think the Berserker wins out in that regard. The clear speed and the ability to move from pack to pack feels really, really good. You're just kind of exploding on every pack. Whereas the Raider is a little bit more finicky. I feel like sometimes there was more opportunities where I was just kind of standing there hitting things, even at high level damage, because the clear speed just wasn't quite as good. So in terms of defenses, I'll say that both of these builds are quite tanky. They're both really, I didn't really feel like I was in danger, even in the Arch Nemesis situation, right? I didn't play the Raider when the Arch Nemesis mods were a thing, but both builds feel really, really tanky. Berserker, even with Arch Nemesis mods, feels pretty good. It has very nice sustain, so I would say don't worry about that, because sometimes I think, when you have the 40% damage, 10% more damage taken, it's a little bit glass cannon-y, but it's not really. It really, the Berserker makes up for it in so many ways. So I really wouldn't stress that at all. The damage feels or the defense rather feels quite nice on both of these. So I would say equal playing field for both of those. In terms of single target, there's a lot more to do with the Berserker to get the single target ramped. So you have to pop everything. You have to pop, like your Berserk, like I said, your Withering Step, all that good stuff. Everything has to be popped. You pop your Anger. Raider is really simple. You pretty much just put your totems, your Vol LS, and then you position yourself and go. It's a little bit less to think about. So that's nice, right? That's nice. It's less to think about. But I think you're trading some of that quality of life at the Berserker for more damage. So it goes back and forth. Now, at the end of the day, scalability, I think they both scale extremely well. I think they both scale in the similar ways. I don't really think there's too much to say here in that they both are scaling equally well. So I wouldn't say one scale is better than the other, because at the end of the day, the gear with Omni is very similar. You're scaling kind of similar stats. You're scaling claws. You're scaling, maybe you get a Squire if you really go on the really top end. But I'd say scalability, they both go in a similar direction. Now, people generally say the Berserker is more the damage, the Champ is more the tank, and the Raider is kind of somewhere in the middle, and I think that's true, except I do think the Berserker really has good defenses. The real downside for me is that quality of life with all the buttons. That's just really, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, it took a long time for me to adjust playing it yesterday, just like a lot of maps to really get a good feel for, clicking the buttons, placing things in the right keys. Like, it's a lot more key mapping and thinking than you think about. So overall, which would I recommend? Now, it's really tricky. I would say overall, I would recommend the Berserker, but I leveled as Smite, so it's kind of cheating, but leveling on the Berserker Smite, and I've done this a lot of leveling, it was one of the smoothest leveling experience I've had just as a Marauder. I haven't done it with the Smite yet, so that was pretty good. I would say overall, I would have to say Berserker. I think that this build is just so nice from even an early standpoint with really, like, my gear is like nothing special. It's really nothing special. Where my Raider also felt really good with kind of limited gear, but I think the Berserker just feels even better. However, I will say if you really just kind of want to zone out, just right click into packs, move into packs, right click, whatever, then I would say definitely go with the Raider. But if you're willing to kind of like put these keys in, then I have to go Berserker. It's just it's too nice. It's too nice. So which do you guys like? Have you guys played both of these? Have you played either of these? Are you rolling a new character? Let me know in the comments, and remember to subscribe if you like the content. Again, more gambles and stuff to come, but I do like making these sort of videos as well. So anyway, I will catch you guys in the next one.